Hi, vinyl community. Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and this is my response or my entry into Pat at the Vinyl Archivist contest, Wallflowers. And the premise of his contest is to show an album that kind of sits on the sidelines, doesn't get highlighted in the vinyl community much, but is a really good album, and you think it'd be nice for others to be exposed to it and maybe pick it up when they see it, something that's readily available. And so it didn't take me long to decide which one I wanted to do for this. One of my all-time favorite albums by one of my all-time favorite artists, and that is the artist is Delbert McClinton. And Delbert is 80 years old now. He turned 80 back in November. And he started out as a teenager in the Fort Worth area, playing in the clubs with fake ID, playing in bands that backed up some of the blues stars of that period that would travel around without a band. And by 1962, he was playing harmonica on the single that became a big hit, Hey Baby, Bruce Chanel hit. He's also from Fort Worth. And then he had a band called the Straight Jackets that got a little bit of airplay. There were a lot of very big bands and artists out of the Fort Worth area. That was a hotbed for musical talent. He, by the early 70s, he and a guy named Glenn Clark, and is it Clark? Yeah, I believe Glenn Clark. They went and they were Delbert and Glenn is what they went by. They were a duo, and they produced, they released a couple of albums in the early 70s when they had gone out to LA, and then they went their separate ways, and Delbert began his solo career, and he's been going ever since. He's been around for a long time. He's been, fairly successful. He's had a lot of albums come out. His greatest success was from this album, The Jealous Kind, and this is a really good album too. I recommend this as well. And I think it reached number 8, so it was a top 10 single for Giving It Up for Your Love, top 10 pop single in 1980 or so. Got some a #1 country song with a duo with Tanya Tucker. Got a Grammy with Bonnie Raitt for a song they did together. He has had several albums on the blues charts, #1s, #2s on the blues charts in fairly recent time in the 21st century here. So he's been out a long time, put out a lot of albums. The biggest problem for Delbert, though, was for about a 20-year stretch, every label he signed with, when they put out his album, something bad happened to the label. The label went bankrupt, or they got merged with another label, and the artists from that label kind of got pushed on the wayside or whatever, but the breaks just weren't with them. But in 1979, the year before The Jealous Kind came out, he was on Capricorn Records, and of course we know Phil Warren on Capricorn Records. He had like a whole lot of people back in that time, a bad cocaine habit, and kind of ran the Capricorn Records label into the ground. Soon after, they put out this album. But the album I want to feature is this one, Keeper of the Flame, from Delbert McClinton. And this is just a great album. Great album. No hits on this, but they sold right many records. Now, I'm not talking about 500,000 or anything like that, but sold a good number of records. So you can find this record in the record shops and in the bins, and other records by Delbert McClinton. But this is the one that's just really stands out. There's the sleeve went inside, and on this side, Delbert is he's songwriter, a harmonica player, mainly a singer, but he does those other things as well. His first big break, I guess, was in '78, or at least since the Hey Baby in '62. In '78, Emmylou Harris recorded Two More Bottles of Wine and had a hit with that song. And the Blues Brothers movie, B-Movie Boxcar Blues, song written by Delbert, was one of the songs the Blues Brothers played on their, I guess it was in the soundtrack, and played on the Blues Brothers, in the Blues Brothers movie. So that were a couple of breaks that helped them out a little bit. And this album is just excellent. Now, I say he's a songwriter, but there are a lot of albums he doesn't write any of the songs. He's also a great interpreter. And two of the songs on here Delbert wrote. He does Two More Bottles of Wine on here. And another one he did on here is I Received a Letter, which is a really fine song on here. But this is just packed full of great music. If you like, now what type of music? Well, Delbert's hard to categorize. Is he a blues singer? Is he an R&B singer? Is he a soul singer? Is he a country singer? Is he a rock singer? Is it blues rock? What is it? Well, that was probably one of the reasons Delbert hasn't had that overwhelming success we see some artists gain, was because he was kind of hard to characterize. He was even big on the beach music circuit here in the southeastern United States for a long time. But he kind of defies. I'd call them a rhythm and blues singers. What I'd call them more than if I had to put a genre label on him, I'd say he's a rhythm and blues singer. It's not pure blues, so rhythm and blues, and it's not. It's, you could call it soul. Some of it sounds country, and it's I guess it's whatever you want it to be. Everybody likes to show the inside. Of course, this is a Capricorn record, and this is my original copy. And we played this album to death back in the early '80s and late '70s. Delbert, as I said, does two of the songs on here. Two more, or another one, A Plain Old Making Love is one of my favorites, and that's a Randall Bramblett is how you say his name, who works a lot with Eric Clapton, I think. But he's a contemporary. I always thought this was an old R&B song that Delbert had remade. He does a really good job on old R&B songs. Just a Little Bit is another great song. It's just one song after the other on here. Shot from the Saddle is on here. I Don't Want to Hear It Anymore from his old partner, Glenn Clark, from the Delbert and Glenn days. Have Mercy, Don Convoy. I think Have Mercy is an old R&B song, if I'm not mistaken. I'm Talking About You is a Chuck Berry song, and that's a really good one. He does a good version on that. Your Love Is Like a Seesaw. That's Steve Cropper, from Memphis Sound. And A Mess of Blues, Don Pomus. I see his name all the time as a songwriter. I don't know exactly how you say his last name, so I won't embarrass myself any more than embarrass myself by not knowing how to say it. But I highly recommend this. You see it, pick it up. You'll really enjoy it. And you should be able to pick it up for a couple of bucks. $5 at a record shop, $5 or $8 at a record shop if it's in really good condition, but you can find it in other places, thrift stores and places like that for, a buck or $2 or $3. Great album. All right. Well, Pat, I appreciate you doing this little contest. Enjoy you on the live streams, mostly where I see you. And I'll remind everybody, be kind to your neighbor, because we're all neighbors.